So, all of the games that I played in the year of 2021 for the first time. This includes games that haven't been released in 2021. Good morning. Welcome to the Ryan Beardy livestream. Today is Saturday, December 11th. That is correct. And we're going to go over really briefly the new video that I posted on my YouTube channel. We're going to go over the gaming news, which includes the Game Awards announcements. And then we're going to go do what I'm doing for the first time is doing a tier list of all the games that I played this year. And it's going to be less so because I like to take a more critical approach when I critique video games because it's something I like doing. But I want to be more subjective and fun with the tier list and strictly just talk about things that I personally liked and didn't like about games and go from there. So yeah, first of all, if you haven't seen it already, the latest video and the last video of this year that I uploaded is about Returnal, which got... What Game of the Year award did it get? I think it was Action Game. Wins Best Action Game. So Returnal won Best Action Game of 2021, and I think it deserves it. I'm glad it got something. A couple weeks ago, I did the voting for the Game Awards, and so we got together with a couple of friends, including Chuck, and sat down and watched the awards, and it was a good time. So I'm happy that something that was my favorite game, got some attention, especially because of, like, this is Housemarque. So I remember their launch game on the PS4, Resogun, and apparently they've put out plenty of games in between Resogun and this. So maybe I will check the other games out sometime. Is there a... Games. Nex Machina, Matterfall, Alienation. Even some before. So Outland was something that released before Resogun. So they've been making games for a while, but nothing quite like Returnal. So I'm really happy it got any kind of attention it deserves, but yeah, if you haven't seen this already, I'm gonna link it here, and the YouTube channel description will be, it'll have the channel in it. Other than that, we're gonna go over the gaming news, which is a lot. So thank you guys, everyone who put in stuff for the gaming news. We'll go over that. I don't think I'll have any time to play the medium today, but that's fine. I didn't realize there was another week between this and Christmas. And I've got a lot of time off, which is good, so I might do some extra streams at the end of the year if I'm not busy with holiday stuff. I've got, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for Christmas, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for New Year's. And then in January, the first weekend of January, I'll be going to MagFest. Be my first convention in a while. I'm looking forward to it. MagFest has been my favorite convention just in general, and I was sad I couldn't go to it last year, so I'm definitely looking forward to going this year. I'm glad it all kind of worked out. Plus it's like, for me personally, it's not really far. It's like an hour away from me, so not only is it like one of the big best gaming conventions, but it's one that's like pretty easy to plan. So I'll be looking forward to that. And then I'll have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for that. Yeah. And, hopefully, I'm still playing SMT5. And I'm still making progress, but I'm not too, still not too far in the game. So I'll be grinding through SMT5. The medium shouldn't take too long. I'll have to figure out what games I can stream. Because again, if I can get a lot of time in over these holidays, then I could finish the medium and maybe start streaming something else. So that's all I've been up to. Yeah, the location's everything. No flying to another convention, no hotel. Well, I guess we have to deal with hotels. No flying. That's good. No flying. I went to PAX 2019. That was the first convention that I flew to, and that one was interesting. know if I would go to it again. I don't know how I feel about the really big ones, because while it was cool to get the perspective, like MagFest is a lot more about like a community of people getting together, and PAX is mostly about like playing new games by high profile people that haven't been released yet. And that's not the entirety of it, of course, but that's just like the vibe. So I want to continue to go to some of the smaller ones, and like in previous years I've thought about going to E3 as like a big thing to treat myself, but I don't. Saying that today, it's in a different situation than it was a couple years ago. But a couple years ago, even then, I was like, just thinking it doesn't really sound all that fun. Like, you might be better just to watch that kind of stuff from the comfort of your own home. Yeah, commercialized is a good way to put it. Heck, I wonder if they open up the Game Awards to like spectators, or just it's probably just everybody who's involved. I wonder if I can you get tickets to the Game Awards? Because that would be kind of cool. What do you call a primate with dynamite? I have no idea. Game Awards will be in-person, invite-only event. Public tickets will not be sold. Huh. I wonder if they've done it in the past or just because of COVID. Nice. I see what you did there. So let's get started on the gaming news. First is a bunch of stuff about Skullgirls, which I'm excited about. To recap a little bit, Skullgirls had some... What was the company's name? They had some harassment. So they used to be under the name Lab Zero, and I think it was like the lead designer was harassing people within the company. So thankfully, like, I'm assuming it's not a huge developer. Sorry, I'm sure it's not a huge team. So everybody was able to like leave Lab Zero and start their new I guess I gotta get my facts before I talk about it. What is their Skullgirls' new publisher, developer? Let's see, I'm sure it's on Twitter, because I follow them. Like something club? Dream Club is my guess. That doesn't help. Future Club. Future Club. So luckily they all were able to leave Lab Zero, form Future Club, and still get the rights to Skullgirls. So they've been adding new characters to the game. We'll go over the newest announcement, because I'm not sure if Umbrella Girl is out yet. So this is just the announcement for the stream, and then this is the new character. So I'm glad that not only everything worked out with the developer side of the game, but they're able to add more content into the game. And Skullgirls is like one of my favorite fighting games. I just love the art style and I love the theming, and they have some really creative characters, and this is no exception. Her name is Umbrella, or I guess it is Umbrella. Okay. Yeah, Umbrella's the newest character in Skullgirls, and she looks like she has a really cool kit. One of the big things is managing the hunger meter. So different attacks have different properties depending on like how well fed the character is. So it's a really cool mechanic, and I'm glad that with each new character in this game, they're figuring out new ways to like mix up the Skullgirls formula. So I'm looking forward to it. I actually need to play the game more. I bought the season pass, but I haven't even checked out Annie yet. But in general, I just wanted to get hyped for Skullgirls, and they also teased the newest character. Black Dahlia, which a lot of extra story for this game is told within the mobile game, and while I have no reference for whether or not it's good, I like that, because Umbrella was a character that was also in the mobile game. I like watched a little bit of it, so I'm glad that they don't even have to create new characters, they just have to pull characters from their other media and put them into the game. So, I mean, Skullgirls game that started in 2012 is still going strong. Guilty Gear Season Pass 1. So, Baiken. More fighting game stuff. It's awesome. There's a lot of fighting game announcements, which is cool. Baiken is the newest teased character for Guilty Gear. And it's clear to me that while I didn't play the story mode in Strive, there's a lot of characters that aren't in the roster that are part of the story. And two of those characters were Gold Lewis and Happy Chaos. So it makes sense to put them in the game in some form. And Baiken, I believe, has always been like a fan favorite character through the series. So this is just another choice that makes sense. I liked the mix of new and old characters, because one of my complaints with the launch roster for Guilty Gear was there was only 2 brand new characters. So I like that they're using the DLC, which, I mean, honestly, Gold Lewis could have been planned as like a launch character, and maybe they just didn't have the time, because Strive got delayed a couple, I don't know if it was a couple times or just one time, but Strive did get delayed. So yeah, it's just more good stuff. Strive, bringing it back to the Game Awards, got Fighting Game of the Year, and I couldn't see it being any other game. Even though I didn't stick with this game like I thought I would, I didn't enjoy the game feel as much as I thought I would, I don't see it going to any other game. They put so much work into this, both like visually, mechanically, and like just FGC community wise, like supporting the fans and things like that. So glad to see Baiken, because that's going to be a lot of people's favorite character returning. And during the same time, they also announced rollback in the BlazBlue series. So BlazBlue Central Fiction and BlazBlue Cross Tag are both getting rollback, which is pretty cool because rollback seems to be the thing that's like really communicating to fans that, one, the developers are listening, and two, like, we're adapting, because the flaws of online really haven't been shown a spotlight like they have through 2020 with the pandemic. So both fans coming together with Slippy and Super Smash Bros. Melee, and things like Guilty Gear Accent Core, and some other games that have had fan rollback that have been included officially into games and unofficially into games. It's been really cool seeing not only like fans' hard work adding it to the game, but like the sentiment going to the developer and saying, hey, we're going to take the time to do this to not only new games, but old games are getting patched to have rollback, including Cross Tag Battle and Central Fiction. I played BlazBlue, I want to say like maybe about 5 years ago, and I really enjoy how it feels. So I'm glad to have an excuse to go back and try BlazBlue again. I've never played Central Fiction. They have really confusing names, so I want to make sure that I have the right one. I think I played Chrono Phantasma. Yeah, this is the one that I played. So this released in 2016, and I'm looking for Central Fiction. BlazBlue Central Fiction was released in 2017. So I don't know if this is just a newer version of the game that I played with more characters and better balancing. That's what it looks like to me. But I did buy this game and I am going to try it out again. But again, like in a game that was released in 2017 is getting people purchasing the game again just because they added rollback to it. So, you know, their work isn't going unnoticed. Really good stuff. What's up, BT? How are you? Long time no see. It's good. So today we're doing gaming news stuff on my Discord. If you have any gaming news that you were excited about recently, there's a channel here where I go over the gaming news. So we're doing that. We're kind of bundling in the Game Awards because that happened the other day. And then I'm going to do a tier list for all the games that I played this year. I got started not too long ago. So this one is a new character in Nick All-Star Brawl, Garfield. I didn't know this was under Nickelodeon, or if this counts as like, what do you call it, a crossover? If it's like TV show characters. BlazBlue Calamity Trigger is the one I already had on Steam, but I had not played Central Fiction yet. Yeah, I gotta look into it more, because Japanese fighting games don't make it easy to figure out which game in the series is which. They have the most confusing names, including all of the Guilty Gear games. But this is cool. This is Garfield and Nick All-Star Brawl. And the reason that it's cool for me, like, I really enjoyed Nick All-Stars, like, surprisingly so. I want to keep playing it. And my concern was that they weren't going to support it both with... I didn't even think it needed. So, like, worst case, like, this is a small team, and I'm realizing that I follow one of the developers on Twitter, and he's constantly talking about updating the game, adding features to it, and I didn't know they were going to be adding new characters, so this is new to me. So I like that the initial kind of complaints, which was, like, hot-fixing balance changes, was pretty much the only thing. And then adding some, like, kind of standard presentation stuff, like alternate costumes, which I talked about the last gaming news. I don't think the costumes that are in this game, I think they're pretty lazy, but I'm glad it's something. I hope they continue to add on to it. So the thing that I'm excited about is just the fact alone that they're continuing to update and support this game. So there's no rush to make a good product because, you know, let me back up a little bit more. This was made by Ludosity, who made Slap City, which is another platform fighter, and they were both influenced by Smash, of course. So there is a really strong Smash community, like with Melee and with Ultimate. There's a lot of people that play Smash games for the competitive side of things. And Nintendo's never been one to either communicate or support the players that play their games. So having a developer that has made a platform fighter in the past, Slap City, and is making this game and is being very transparent with what kind of game it's supposed to be, regardless of whether or not the state of the game at launch or the state of the game right now is as good as it can be, the fact that they're supporting it long term by both rebalancing characters and adding new features and adding new characters really has me excited that this could be not the biggest fighting game, but something that, you know, has its core fans. And I honestly, I enjoy this game. I can't wait to play more of it. And it gets me really excited that they're continuing to add characters, which, you know, I didn't even know they were going to do. So I'm glad they're slowly kind of picking away, making sure that this game is as good as it can be. I wish Big Wee was here. He sends me a lot of new stuff, but I will go over it. Hopefully I can, like, figure out, I can make out what he intended for me to see. So this is Time Threaders, letting you all know that we intend to bring Threads of Time to consoles, including Nintendo Switch. So let's look up Time Threaders, because I've never heard of this game. So it seems it's already out, and it seems like it's popular enough to get console ports. Let's see. Threads of Time. Wait. Oh, okay, that's the name of their fans. Okay. Yep. Threads of Time. This is what we need Big B for, so I don't make mistakes like this. Is that... Let's see. Did it come from Japan? Or is the Japanese text just there for style points? Threads of Fate. Is this a new... Wait, I saw this on Black Friday and I had no idea what it was. I wonder if Big B knows what it was. Threads of Time. I want to know... I guess this might give me an answer. A journey through time inspired by JRPGs of our childhood, Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy. 2.5D pixel art, Unreal. Okay, that looks cool. Very clear spiritual successor. So I guess this is just imitating the Final Fantasy type. Alright, I read that. Okay, not too much here. I wonder if there's a trailer. I'll look up a trailer and then move on. There's not a lot of information, and it seems like it's already out. You'd think it would be like the first one. Or am I typing it wrong? No, I'm not typing it wrong. There's no information on this game. How many followers does this page have? Big B always has the deep cuts too. That's the other thing. So I guess I'm relying on this. Definitely gives me Chrono... Oh, that is... I was gonna say, it gives me Chrono Trigger vibes, then I look at the image a bit closer. Yeah, definitely Chrono Trigger. One of my Christmas gifts is gonna be Chrono Trigger for the DS, because I meant to play... The plan this year was supposed to play a lot of the classics, the JRPG classics. And I was able to play Final Fantasy VI, 1, Dragon Quest 1 and 2. But I wanted to play Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger. I think that was as far as I got, but I didn't get to play those two yet. So next year I'm going to do Chrono Trigger and hopefully Secret of Mana, and then try some more games from there. SMT5 came out recently, and I've been focused on that. Do they not even have a lot of tweets? This game is an enigma. Okay, alright, that's Threads of Time. Hopefully... Oh, here's... Oh no, that's just their website. Looks promising. Okay, in 10, so it's not already out. Okay. Monarch, so this is something I can talk about. I actually haven't seen this trailer yet. Monarch is a game that is being made by a lot of old heads in the SMT days. Namely SMT If and Devil Summoner. And that alone has me interested in this game. I have it pre-ordered. I really like the art style, and I've seen some more things about this game. I don't know how I feel about it yet, just as a whole. But I'm going to try it and give it a try just because I'm really excited about the people that are involved with it. And this is actually showing off the combat, which I haven't seen much of. It seems like a strategy game in a similar way to maybe XCOM or like Fire Emblem. Like you control your character and then you have like a soldier with you. Soldier ghost is what I'll call them. I'm sure there's a very extensive list of terms specific to this game. But it's looking nicer and nicer. It's coming out on PS4 and PS5. I don't know if it's coming out on any other consoles, but I have it pre-ordered for PS5. Again, just exciting to see the people involved. It's coming out the beginning of next year. Let's see if it'll give me a February 22nd. So it's actually coming out pretty soon. I will probably try to play this when it comes out, if not close to when it comes out. But that's it, really. A new game by old heads, which, you know, sometimes has a rough track history when it comes to things like Rare moving to Playtonic, working on Yooka-Laylee, KG and Afune working on Mighty Number 9. So I have no expectations, and I don't want to have expectations. I just want to kind of play it for what it is, and I'll let you know if it's good or not. I'm down to try it. It looks interesting. Not really news, but interesting to see what the games with the most playtime for the past 2 weeks are. Let's take a look. Let's see what's doing well. I don't believe this was ever a section on the eShop before, but at least in the US, there's a most played section at the bottom of the featured tab. That's a good addition. Disgaea, Football Manager, Pokemon, of course. SMT5, that's good. I'm assuming SMT5 is going to have a lot more widespread appeal compared to... I don't even know if I can... Yeah, I can say that, because the 3DS was pretty popular too. But Persona 5 blew up. That really put a spotlight on Atlus and Persona in general with Persona 5. And so a lot of those people maybe only have a Switch, and Persona 5 is not currently on Switch. So maybe some people will kind of broaden their horizons and try out SMT. That's what happened to me in the past. Like, I started with Persona 3, I played 4, I think I played 5, yeah. I played 5, then I played SMT 4, 3, and now I'm playing 5. I played 4 Apocalypse and then 5. So, playing the Persona series... I mean, these games, my favorite JRPGs are ones from Atlus, just because I think their combat systems are the most engaging to me. So I really hope more people can branch out and try more Atlus games, because Persona has the one more system with weaknesses that adds a lot of engagement into the combat. And SMTs, from Nocturne onward, they have a press turn system, which I think is the best combat system ever introduced into a turn-based game. So there's a lot to love, and I hope seeing this at number 8 means that, like, it's getting some eyes on it, and, you know, maybe some people will check out some of the other games in the series too. Because SMT3's remaster came out this year. Nocturne HD. Nocturne HD. Come on. Alright, I'm born in 1914. 2021. It came out this year. Dragon Quest Builders 2. That's cool, because I wonder how they do most played, by purchases or by playtime. Software with the highest average playtime over the last 2 weeks. That's awesome. So this has some longevity, because this is an older game. Diablo 2, Fire Emblem. This is a really cool thing to add onto the store. You get like a direct idea of what people have been playing lately. Digimon. I recently played Digimon. Dragon Quest 11S is still being played. That's awesome. Witcher 3. Stardew Valley. Final Fantasy. Okay, alright. How far does this list go? Even Fortnite is down here. That's interesting. AI Somnium Files is a game I want to check out. Disco Elysium I want to eventually check out. I have a physical copy of that pre-ordered. Yeah, I think, I mean, again, not really news, there's not too much to say, but I am excited that this is even a feature, not only for the store, but just for stats like this. So that's cool. Here's the US list, UK list, and here's Japan. What's Japan playing? Let's see what's different. SMT5 is number 2. That's what's different. It's above Pokemon. That's crazy. Danganronpa Skyrim is number 8. That's interesting. Makes sense. A lot more JRPGs, Japanese. Play the Spires on here. Good for that. Pokemon Sword and Shield are still on this list. Yeah, interesting. The first ever third-party PS5 controller has been announced. At long last, the third-party PS5 controller has been announced. SCUF has introduced its new Reflex, Reflex Pro, and Reflex FPS controllers designed for the PS5. On the surface, it looks nearly identical to the DualSense, but there are plenty of small improvements to be found. The biggest thing is the Reflex line adds a removable set of back control paddles. These back paddles work similarly to the Elite Series X. What is, I've never heard of SCUF controllers. They look solid. I mean, some of them look a little like maybe they have like cheaper models, and maybe they have models that are advertised to be better than the original. The Reflex and the Reflex Pro still feature Sony's adaptive triggers, but the Reflex FPS swaps them out for instant triggers that actuate with one tap, similar to a mouse button. You also get swappable thumbsticks on the Reflex, allowing you to change them out. Reflex line will be available, however, the black version will be available at launch with more colorways. What about, okay, the SCUF Reflex line is available now with the baseline controller costing $199. The SCUF Reflex Pro FPS, eesh. Okay, so this is the premium controller. I think, does this give me their controller? No, it just gives me an IGN article. There's a lot of Xbox controllers, and I do not have the knowledge to figure out all the different models. Because even within Microsoft, they have a bunch of different models. So I'm not sure what to think in terms of comparing them. But it seems like this is being sold as a premium controller. Which, man, I can't usually buy expensive controllers. It's not even for myself. I think I'm good with the official ones, and that's usually enough to keep me satisfied. Hand-drawn 2D Metroidvania After Image announced for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Developer Aragon Shanghai has announced a 2D hand-drawn Metroidvania. Yep. Here's an overview of the game via its Steam page. Wow, that's good art. One of the Supreme Deity... Okay, let me do... kind of want more. Key features. Traditional 2D side-scrolling controls, seamless semi-open world, 15 different areas, over 10 character abilities. Weapon builds. I'm sticking with the first-party controller too. Also, the company name is SCUF. Give me gameplay. I'm interested in Metroidvanias, so I'm curious. But I need gameplay. That looks gorgeous. They talked about characters and builds and abilities, so maybe it'll lean toward the stat-driven Castlevania games more than just Metroid. I like the character design. But not too much. Is there a release date? Late 2022. Okay, so there's still time to kind of get a better idea what this game's about. I'll keep an eye on it. Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. What is this? So when I got my PS4, I didn't get a launch PS4. What I got was a PS4 that was bundled with the Uncharted collection, which was 1, 2, and 3. And it also... So 1, 2, and 3 was a HD collection, and then 4. So I think it came with 1 or with both. You can thank Big B for that. Big B's got the deep cuts. So is this going to be everything? I don't think so. None of the Uncharted games have been released on PS5. I believe they were all PS4. So they're going to be re-optimized for PS5, which is great because these are some good looking games. So having that remastered for PS5. So this is, an already good looking game. Which is what I want to see more of, honestly. Just because I'm slow to check out new releases. I want PS5 versions of them so I can check them out. I want to see what this includes. A Thieves End. So this is Uncharted 4 and Uncharted 4's DLC. Which I think was also a standalone, if I remember correctly. So it doesn't include Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. You'll have to get that via the Uncharted... Let me see if I can find it. The Nathan Drake collection. Oops, that's not what I want. There we go. The Uncharted The Nathan Drake collection has Uncharted 1, 2, and 3 on PS4. I kind of wish these games were included in the Legacy of Thieves collection. Because now you have Uncharted The Nathan Drake collection and Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection. I mean, is Uncharted 4 called A Thieves End? The naming convention here is not straightforward. Okay, so Uncharted 4 is A Thieves End, and I think Lost Legacy was DLC / a standalone game. So it's basically the later two games. That's cool, I like that. I mean, Uncharted is a really popular game, so I'm glad to see, rightfully so too, so I'm glad to see that it's given a definitive version on PS5. Lara Croft, 25 years of Tomb Raider and a British gaming icon. Lara Croft has just turned 25 years old. Independent, strong, and fearless, Lara Croft forged an unforgettable path through 90s gaming. I have not played a single Tomb Raider game, and I'd like to. I feel like the original 3D ones probably haven't aged as well with like camera and movement things being weird. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna eventually try it. And do they have the, I don't know what you call it, the reboot. The reboot games, Uncharted and coincidentally like the reboot of Tomb Raider, don't interest me too much. She was iconic from the jump because we hadn't seen a lot of female heroes in video games. It reminds me of Nintendo basically, before Samus was outside of the suit, like in the first game's advertisements and like promotional drawings, they just assumed that Samus was a guy. So, I mean, like even back then, it's true, there weren't a lot of like female protagonists. She happened to be right there at the forefront when 3D graphics came in, he says. Yeah, I remember they did a lot of promotion for Tomb Raider, with like, I don't know, just like advertisements and being in magazines and stuff like that. So it was an interesting time. The original movies starring Angelina Jolie propelled Laura into greater public consciousness. The franchise's latest 3 games, the reboots, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider, released in 2013, 15, and 18. What was done with the 2013 Tomb Raider game was really meaningful. It gave her a bit more of this grounded, more relatable sense to her. The superhero vision may not have been as accessible to certain people, and so when she became more real with that persistence at her core. Yeah, I don't have too much. Like I said, I've never played a Tomb Raider game. I'd be down to do it. It's cool reminiscing about both the original and the reboots, because they both do the same thing, but during different periods of time. Like, actual time. Like, you know, let's see when the originals came out. I know the reboot was 2013, but this was probably... Not probably. Let's see. 2001? Tomb Raider. Release date. Don't want that one. Games. The first entry was released in 1996. So 1996 to 2013 is like, you know, a long gap to do like something different with Lara Croft. So it's cool that the character in some way was able to stick with the times and like still be relevant to the originals. We do see it as a progression that was told in a different order. We started with a series of stories that were about this heroic era, but going back to the origins doesn't actually disrupt those things. It doesn't actually dishonor or say that they're not true. Yeah, this is a cool side of things, because it also gives context to the older games when there probably wasn't any need for it. I don't know how Lara Croft was as a character in her original games, but this article communicates to me it was that strong, like, I can do anything type character. So I do think that's a cool juxtaposition between the new and old, where the old is inexperienced and shown to be that way, shown to be more grounded and relatable in the newer games, in the older games time period. 25 years on, while the characters we play in video games are more diverse than ever, there's still a long way to go before there's truly equality when it comes to gaming's lead characters. There's lots and lots of people whose stories have not been told. There are lots and lots of ways that representation, although it has grown, can continue to grow. That's one thing I liked about Returnal and The Medium, coincidentally, like the last 2 games that I played. I think they have really good female leads. They're realistic, they're complex, and they're interesting, at least with Celine in Returnal. I haven't finished The Medium, but I'm glad that representation, you know, we still have ways to go, but we can continue to grow, as this says. You know, it's a good way to put it. But we're happy and very proud of the contributions Lara and Tomb Raider have made to that. As for what's next, Dallas is keeping tight-lipped about specifics, but teases there may be projects underway. Yeah, this is a cool piece on the history of Tomb Raider and, you know, Lara as a female lead. That's cool. I heard about Final Fantasy XIV's servers, but not the specifics. Final Fantasy XIV giving players a free week and apology for queues. Even before the launch of Final Fantasy XIV's Endwalker expansion on Tuesday, the MMORPG servers have been overloaded during its early access period for pre-orders, leaving players in long queues to join. Sharing a status update over the weekend, game director Naoki Yoshida apologized again for the problems and said they plan on giving all active subscribers 7 days of free game time. Considering that we are asking players to wait in queues for extremely long periods of time, and the ongoing situation making it difficult to play normally, We have decided that during the official release of Endwalker on December 7th, we'll be granting 7 days of free game time to all players who own the full version of the game and have an active subscription. He noted that they may be giving additional free time depending on further developments. Yeah, Lane's the person to go to. I'm glad, so like something with Final Fantasy XIV in general, is they seem really transparent with things. So while, of course, it shouldn't be a problem in the first place, I'm glad that they are communicating, acknowledging the problem, and giving a compensation for it. Error numbers have happened to players having spent so long in a queue that their connection to the login server times out. He said that we're currently working on to extend the server time. Knowing what causes problems isn't much comfort if you're still suffering through them, mind. The game has been struggling with capacity problems for months, having grown mighty popular during global tech shortage where Square Enix says stops them from expanding servers as much as they want. Yeah, again, I appreciate the transparency, the apology, and the kind of band-aid. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV is the most popular MMO next to World of Warcraft. So I hope that they can take this in stride and improve it, but I don't have much criticism or constructive criticism aside from just saying, like, I appreciate the transparency. Yeah, it's too late, so the problem's already happened. So, like, while that's a shame, and while you want to make a good product, especially for something that's subscription-based, because, like, time is the important factor, you're paying every month for something, and you can't even get in to play it. I'm glad that they're, doing something. I added this because you've probably heard me talk about Temtem in the past. Temtem's getting its very last, not its very last, but it's I'll say currently announced last expansion, because the game is in early access. The content, the actual in-game areas are separated by different floating islands you travel to. So the very last floating island is going to be coming out soon. And from there, I assume they'll fix some stuff, go to 1.0, and then if it does well enough, what I hope is that they'll add new content past this island. But I just want to put a spotlight on a game that I've been coming back to every now and then to put more time into. It's the short elevator pitch is it's Pokemon, but it does all the things that people want from Pokemon that they've never done. It's an MMO, it's completely co-op, it's double battles, and it's competitive focused. So anybody can enjoy it, but the features that are in the game allow all types of players to enjoy it. So I recommend this game if you haven't played it already. They talked about how the price is only going to go up as it gets closer to launch. So basically, now's the time if you were ever considering it, and I think it's worth it. It gets my seal of approval. Yeah, here it is. As mentioned in our early access release, Temtem's price will increase with the big updates until it reaches its final price of $45. With Arbory, the price will go from $40 to $42, and the equivalent in the rest of the currencies, just so you're informed. Yeah, I'm a really big fan of Temtem, and again, because of its MMO format, it's no subscription, just because we came off the heels about talking about Final Fantasy XIV. But because of its MMO format, it's something that you can come back to and like find something to interact, keep you busy, and have fun with. So definitely recommend. Let's see. Are your Pokemon feeling tired? Come and visit the Phoenix City's Pokemon Center. What is this? I guess, a Pokemon fan game? Or is this... Okay, it's a Pokemon fan game because there is a, Inky there. Is this, related to the Coliseum games? Yeah. Let's see. Let's check the project out. A fan-made remake for Pokemon Coliseum. This is a cool idea. I've never heard of this before. I've never played the Coliseum games, and I think I would love to do that on stream sometime when I can find a copy of each. No, I've never heard of this. This is the first time. So I guess this has been in works for a while. I really like the effects here. It looks like it's... It looks kind of like black and white sprites, but even more original than that. Like, the black and white 2 sprites are a little bit taller. And this looks similar. Let me see if I can get like a side-by-side. Play them on stream in 2022. Alright, well, I gotta track down copies of those games because I don't have them. But I will do it. I feel like those are perfect games to stream. Not trailers. Trainers. Alright, that's not working out. Just give me one image of the trainer. There we go. That's so tiny. This is so inconvenient. Oh, here we go. Oh, jeez. Give me something. Okay, alright. This is a lot of work for just a little comparison. Okay, so they look the same height as Pokemon Black's character models. You can kind of see that. So that's cool. Maybe it's using that as a base. I can probably do Banjo as well. I do already own the Rare Replay Banjo. Yeah, this is cool. I'll keep an eye on this project because I never heard of it before. And then, you know, maybe we'll play the originals. Alright, here's the big one. Let's save that for last. Let's do the Voltorb, which I haven't seen yet. And then quickly talk about the expensive vinyl. Hisuian Voltorb's shocking debut. I spoke before how I like that they're adding official new Pokemon into Pokemon Arceus. It gives me confidence in the project. They're brave enough to continue the Pokedex. It's an electric grass type. That's so cool. I like the eyes too. It looks you know, carved out with wood. It's not super, like, you can see the edges. That's a really good design. Man, and it comes out soon. It's getting really close. Yeah, but long story short, it gives me confidence that they're allowed to do new things in what looks like a spin-off game. And again, if this does well, then they'll have reason to expand on the idea. So, while I'm not getting Arceus on release, I'm keeping a really close eye on how it performs. Because, again, Pokemon makes too much money to innovate. That's how I felt for a really long time. But this right here, to me, is the innovation that I think fans want from the series. So I hope that they can do again, I'm keeping my expectations low. I hope that they can do something nice with this game once it's out. Like, I hope people enjoy it, and I hope that they can expand upon it if that's the case. But we're getting close to release, and I didn't realize it, so yeah, I can't wait to see how it does. I'm sure it'll sell well. It's Pokemon. Remakes and new games sell well regardless of the quality, so that's not something I'm worried about. But as far as like how it's critically received, how it runs, and things like that, this one is a Game Freak game, so I'll buy it on release to support this small, relatively unknown company with a good heart. Yeah, yeah. It's Pokemon. I, I I say it with love, even though it doesn't sound like it. I say it with love. I love Pokemon. Ooh, boy. Alright. So this is cool. Persona's 25th anniversary happened. They celebrated it by porting Persona Arena to modern consoles and PC, with some merch and with this. I do not have a record player. I am a video game collector. I collect video games. I don't want to collect vinyls. I don't want to collect DVDs, Blu-rays. I don't want to collect books. I don't want to collect anything else. Cause like, I like collecting things, but I'm trying to be very specific with what I collect. But of course I'm gonna get lax every now and then. I recently bought my first vinyl. It hasn't come in yet, but I bought the Valhalla vinyl, and I bought it because that is Shoji Meguro and Garode are my favorite video game composers, and Garode is very influenced by Shoji Meguro. So, you know, there's Valhalla music that just came on right now if you want an idea. But I thought it was, I really like the aesthetic of Valhalla. So seeing the, let's see. Am I really gonna have to spell it? I didn't want to have to. Oh, there we go. This is what I bought. I just like the aesthetic of Valhalla, and you know, $100 for all of the Valhalla soundtrack, some art, and some other stuff. I actually want to plug. I want to plug this in chat. Let's see. There's one of my favorite YouTubers, Yako, does a lot with vinyl. And, you know, part of this video is just him showing off his vinyl collection and just talking about video game music in general. So, like, because there isn't a huge amount of demand for video game vinyls, when they do print them, they print them with quality, with love, with, like, all this extra stuff in it. So, you know, I think for those who are into collecting vinyl, for those who are into collecting video game vinyl, the price shouldn't dissuade you because they do take care of the people who are into vinyl. So, like, watch this video if you want some more insight. It's really good. But again, I'm hoping not to stray too far from just collecting games, but I thought this was a good purchase because I like the composer so much. And then immediately after I pressed purchase, or not immediately after, but you know, here we are a couple days later, $400 for the complete Persona collection on vinyl. This is the rich man's vinyl. This is vinyl that I would love to own, but I can't justify starting a vinyl collection. Like, I told myself, just get the Valhalla one because you like the aesthetics and you like the composer. Shoji Meguro is my favorite composer, and here's a complete thing acknowledging Persona 1 and Persona 2. Like, it's so sad that I can't purchase this, just because, like, I can't justify it. Tell chat how your roommate's a crazy person, and that's why you're gonna get access to this anyway. Yeah, this is the rich man's vinyl. I can't justify it. It's a great purchase, and it's a lot of music. Like, it's 15 records that are both Persona 1 through 5, but also, like, Persona 2 had a sequel, Persona 3 and 4 had remakes, Persona 5 had a remake. So it's got music from the originals and the remakes and everything. It's just such a good idea. For you maybe to just get one of those, they're sold separately. I can't. No, it's all or nothing. Like I said, I want to be very focused with the things I collect. And I don't want to start collecting vinyls. I don't have that much of an interest in it. But, like, oh man, it's so hard to turn this down. It's great purchase for Valhalla. Yeah, the Valhalla one I'm excited for. I think it looks really nice, and I can't wait to look at all of the stuff it comes with. Even as just, like, you know, I could justify it. This, I'm sadly gonna pass, but I can't justify it. As a single tear drops down my face. Alright, so this is the big one. The Game Awards happened on Thursday, and to come with it are plenty of game announcements. And let's see. I think this includes everything. I'm going to pick and choose from it the things that I want to talk about. If there's anything that you want me to talk about that I skipped, we can do that. Is this in order? I mean, I think I have to go here down. I guess it doesn't matter. I don't think it's a blatant cash grab. It's $400, but isn't it $400 worth of music if you compare it to other vinyls? And I mean, again, it acknowledges Persona 1 and 2 and like all of the remake music. Like, there's just so much music in this. Like, I think $400 is a lot, but I don't think it's not worth that, you know? When you compare it to... Because, let's see. Where do I find just vinyl? Maybe I search for it. Do you think it's not worth it? Let's see, 40 bucks. I mean, maybe... I guess it depends on just... I don't know. I'm not very educated in vinyl. This one is 100 for 4. I mean, so like a quality vinyl this is 4 records for $100. If you multiply that by, I mean, if you do 4 vinyls times 4 for the price of 400, you get 16. So I guess it's like, it adds up. This is not normal. It's the history. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know about that. Okay. Alright. Yeah, I didn't realize the timeline either. Does it say? It says coming soon. First wave will ship in Q3 2022. Second wave will ship in 2023. Yeah, okay. Alright, I'll just go, you know, top down. Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to PC with $70 console game pricing. Normally they take your money when it ships. This is not the case here. Okay, interesting. Final Fantasy VII Intergrade coming to PC. Always a good thing. I like seeing these high profile or high budget in terms of like just visually stunning games coming to PC, because that means all of the PC players can really push it to the limits. And of course now it's not a PS4 or 5 exclusive, so more people can play the game. PC gamers in the past sometimes enjoyed a $10 discount when AAA console games made the jump. Not really too much to say. PC port features 4K resolution HDR support, X input, direct input, control mouse support, support for frame rates up to 120. Yeah, so that's all. I'm glad more people can play it on PC, and I'm glad that people who really put money into their PCs can, you know, bring it for 120 frames. Okay. The Game Awards is meant to be a celebration of past work in gaming, as well as a glimpse of future games to come. Alan Wake 2, let's see. Alan Wake 2 is not on here. Why is this so scattered? Because I saw a page for Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 revealed, yeah. Alright, well I know it's down there. Senua Saga Hellblade 2. I didn't play the first one. I heard a lot of good things. Excuse me. So I think the main thing to talk about here is like just how good the game looks. It continues to say, I think in parts of the game, that that's actual game footage. So not that I have too much to say. Maybe by the time this game comes out, I'll have played the first one and want to try the second one. But this is one of those games that seems to really be pushing graphics. As long as this really is like in-game. This one was interesting. Then there was Slitterhead, a survival horror game from the director of the original Silent Hill. Slitterhead showed a series of normal-looking people turning into horrifying flesh spider monsters. This was interesting just because of the advertising. It starts by saying... Oh, this trailer doesn't say it. It started by saying that the creator made Silent Hill. I wonder if I can find... I want to show it with the time card. I know this is a lot of work, but I think it's important to what I'm trying to communicate. Not the Steam Awards. The Game Awards stream. I hope I can find it quickly. Isn't there a transcript? Open transcript. And then Control F. Okay, that's not gonna work. Maybe I can get lucky and find it. So this is when it starts. Alan Wake did come first, so they're not even in order. Here it is. I saw it. So it starts by saying... It starts with this. Like in 1999, Keiichiro Toyama chose horror as the genre for his first directorial work. Silent Hill was released to the world. So that like put in my mind that this is really trying to be something like Silent Hill. Because Keiichi Toyama went on to make Gravity Rush. But what else? Silent Hill, Siren as director-writer. I didn't know that. Gravity Rush, and then Slitterhead. So it's mostly the first Silent Hill, Siren, and Gravity Rush. So it's not a huge catalog of games under Keiichiro Toyama's name. So when I saw this, I was thinking, oh, is this gonna be a horror game? 2020, he went independent and founded Bokeh Game Studio, and he came back to face a new challenge in horror. And then it starts, so that's all I wanted to start with. And then you get this trailer, which looks nice, but a lot of people, including myself, initially reacted like, this seems like an action horror game rather than a survival horror game. And it gets really, I don't know. Let me watch through this again. Because, like, Silent Hill and Resident Evil are very specific survival horror. And there's a lot of, like, wackiness and action going on here that just didn't... It was jarring seeing that with that initial text saying, oh, he released Silent Hill and then founded his own studio and chose horror. And then Akira Yamaoka is doing the soundtrack to this. So I'm really... to keep it brief, like, make whatever game you want. Like, I will support whatever your vision is. I think that's what's most important. Just because this isn't a spiritual successor to Silent Hill doesn't mean I'm upset with it. But I can understand, because it happened to me, just how weird it was saying, like, oh, Keiichiro Toyama made Silent Hill. He chose horror, and now he's making a new game. And this is horror, but it's much different. I'm very curious. But it was very jarring with the messaging. It could just say, like, from the creator of Keiichi Toriyama that made Silent Hill. And then gone from there. But, yeah, I'm excited to see what this game's about. Again, the thing that has me interested is Akira Yamaoka and Toyama working on it. I want to see more of it. I will probably play it, but, I mean, there are personal objections, like, I don't like action. I don't know, it all depends. There's so much I don't know. Like, horror action hasn't always... Like, I like Dead Space. That could be considered... Like, Dead Space 3 was definitely, like, action horror. Left 4 Dead, Back 4 Blood. There's action horror stuff I like. And I'm interested to see what... I'm just interested. I don't have any, like, sweeping conclusions to make. I just wanted to talk about how some people were confused with the messaging. And how I agree, because that first live that's not even in the final trailer posted here talked about how this game could have been... It just set expectations really early by just the way the wording was. But, you know, do what you want. Like, I support it. I hope that this is a interesting project. Alright. Persona 4 Ultimax coming to Switch, PS4, and PC. I am excited about this. Most importantly, I guess this doesn't come with a link. So I've played Persona 4 Arena in the past, and it was the first game that I really sat down and tried to get good at that was a 2D fighter. It's really easy to pick up and play. The game feel is really good, and all of the inputs are really simple. There are auto combo starters, and everybody's specials are input the same way. So you never need to learn how to execute with each character. You just have to learn what their moves are. And I think that's perfect. I think literal button execution should be as simple as possible. And the focus should be, you know, actually figuring out the character's attacks and, like, optimizing their attacks. I think it should be about learning their attacks rather than the inputs. So when a game like Persona Arena was put in front of me, all I had to learn was, you know, the light attack goes into an auto combo that you can then transition into whatever combo you want. So it leaves you a lot of extra time to think about what you want to do. So not only do I love Persona and I love the Persona fighting game, but it was a really good middle ground. I think it's safe to say that it's a middle ground. Like, it's not too hard of a game to pick up and play. So I hope that with this re-release, more people can give it a try. It'll be more accessible now that it's on PC and Switch, PS4 or PS5, whatever it was. Switch and PS4. The only thing that I'm disappointed in is it probably doesn't have rollback, because they would have said it if it did. That's a real shame, especially because we just talked earlier about just how important it is long term and how important it is in this day and age. So I'm still happy that this game is being ported to modern consoles. I remember around the time Persona 5 came out, the director of 4 Arena said, I'd be open to making a Persona 5 Arena. And I, like most people, probably just interpreted that as like, yeah, it'll happen. It's just a matter of time of when it'll happen. So seeing this, it probably has me more grounded and thinking, we're going to see how well this sells, and if it sells well, then maybe we'll do Persona 5 Arena. Persona 4 Golden was recently ported to Steam, and that sold amazingly well. And included with this, you could buy... So this is already up for pre-order. Breakers is on PC. I don't know if I knew that. So this is already on Steam for pre-order, and I think there's a bundle with Persona 4. So pre-purchase Midnight Channel Collection Deluxe Edition. This is just a bundle with Persona Arena and Persona 4 Golden. I'm not sure how much it saves you, because of course I have Persona 4, so it doesn't actually say. Yeah, so I don't honestly know, but it's cool that there's a bundle there to save you some money. So I hope this sells well. I hope this kind of gauges interest into a Persona 5 Arena. And also importantly for this game, the final patch, this game isn't the most balanced game. That's pretty clear. So announced in this version is a 2.0 was the final patch for Persona Ultimax. This is going to have a 2.5 patch, which means they're going to be rebalancing, maybe adding some small things to the game. And I think this version includes all of the DLC as well. So it's going to be like the best way to play the game. So I hope that this 2.5 patch rebalances the game in a way that gives it a bit more longevity than the original. Because the original, you know, it got perfected. Like there was a solution to the game, and you can do like 90% damage with certain characters, and I've seen clips, it can be a mess. So I hope that this kind of is the first step into supporting something with this game long term or like in the future. Yeah, Chuck, let me know what the bundle price is if you have it. I'm gonna skip the Matrix. 29 biggest announcements for the Game Awards. Oh, is this what I want? I guess I'll leave that up. Free-to-play Arc Raiders from ex-Battlefield developers. New Elden Ring, look nice. Halo TV series. Among Us VR is interesting. I wonder how much the original team worked on this. Because I remember at one point they were thinking about making a sequel, and then they said, oh, well, we're going to take the time to really polish the first game before we make a sequel. So seeing this, I'm curious if it was just outsourced to another team. I think it's a good thing. I think it's really cool. I think this is a great idea for Among Us, considering how big it got when it released. And on top of that, I know that there's like Trouble in Terrorist Town. There's a bunch of spin-off games that are social deduction games like this. So I'm glad that they're officially just taking the Among Us and making a official VR thing for it. So that's cool. VR standalone version of the game, but features the same gameplay instead of top-down. It's definitely gonna work much differently given the new view. So I wonder how that's gonna affect the gameplay. The bundle is $35 or $38 for the deluxe edition. Okay. New Forspoken. That got a May launch date. This looks cool. I'm interested in this game, but I feel like there's just so much I want to get to that it's not something that's going to be a priority. It's time. It's time to talk about Sonic. Developer Sonic Team revealed the title for the next mainline game. The next game will be called Sonic Frontiers and is scheduled to be released at some point during 2022. The game is being developed by Sega Sonic Team Japan's lead producer Sachiko Kuramura and director Mario Kishimoto. Let's see. That's not what I want. Credits. Sonic Adventure. So long time person. Long time. Starting with 3D Sonic too. I don't see any 2D stuff in here. And this is Sonic and Secret Rings, Black Knight Colors. Ooh, ooh, ooh. These are a lot of the duds in my opinion. Black Knight wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good. This is bad. This is not good. Colors I love, so I mean you got that. That was not well received. That was not well received. That was not well received. I enjoy Sonic. There is a very inconsistent track history with Sonic. I am not sure why this game is open world aside from copying trends, which I don't like in concept, but obviously like I don't know what their motivation is. It can be interesting, but I'm not sure why it's open world. I need to know more. This alone can definitely like convince people that they, you know, open world Sonic has never been done before. It's a cool idea. But like, I mean, we had Sonic Boom was the last 3D open world Sonic. I'm not sure how you keep Sonic Speed a focus while doing something open world. It's so weird to me. What are you talking about when you said the people who play tested the game said it sucked? Yeah, so again, there's a lot of good Sonic games, but there's also a lot of duds. I think that's just what happens when you release games all the time. Like yearly releases and stuff. Yeah, go ahead and link it to me. Like, are you talking about Frontier? I don't know, I have such a weird take on Sonic because when it comes to other series, to me it's like, do whatever you want, like, experiment, you know, make something new, make something that you want to make. But for Sonic, it's just like, you've done good things. Like, I like the Adventure series, I like Adventure 1 and 2. 06, there's, like, the Sonic, like, there's something there under 06, under all of the rushed game. And I like the boost formula. Like, Generations is one of my favorite games. I like the daytime levels in Unleashed. Sonic Colors is amazing. But, like, what's the focus of this game? And how do you keep Sonic's trademark speed when you make it open world? Like, what's... Again, there's just more I need to know before I really, like, dig into it. But, like, my knee-jerk reaction is just, like, why open world? Like, what does that do for Sonic? But who knows? And, again, the inconsistent track record with Sonic just doesn't give me hope. Like, my expectations are going to be in check here. According to the developer, Sonic Frontiers is an open zone-inspired experience and will feature an original storyline from Sonic Boom writer Ian Flynn. Okay. Is this the game or the show? Is an American Oh, no, wait, no, I did read this. This is the person who also did the Archie comic. I didn't know that was the same person. I read that the Archie comic Sonic the Hedgehog writer is doing the writing for Frontier. I didn't know that they also did Sonic Boom. Since hiring at Archie, he's also written Sonic Universe, the Capcom series, Mega Man, and New Crusaders, a superhero title. In Sonic the Hedgehog series, he's collaborated with Tracy Yardley. Flynn made television writing debut with Sonic Boom episode... Okay, so it's the show. I heard the writing for the show was good and funny. Ooh, I'm so confused now. So this is for the series. As long as it's not the writer for the game, because the game is, you know, a whole lot of nothing. So who does the game? Director. I want to know who the writer is. Is that what I would search? Writers. You two are to blame. Christian Cantamesa. Director and video game creator, best known as lead designer and co-writer for Red Dead Redemption and the Manhunt series. Okay. That's probably not what I want. This person doesn't even have any kind of writer. Sonic Boom. Okay. So John Melchior. Futurama video game executive producer. Okay. I don't know. Here, producer. I don't know, man. So, I guess Ian Flynn is reassuring. Sonic Frontiers is a huge leap forward for the franchise, delivering an evolved gameplay experience that can be enjoyed by longtime Sonic fans and action-adventure enthusiasts alike. Originally announced Frontiers in May. Okay, alright. Yeah, I'm just confused. I'm confused and keeping my expectations in check. Cuphead DLC is exciting. It's been a while. When did Cuphead release? ...2017, and this is coming out 2022. So I'm very happy that they're taking their time and making a good product with Cuphead, because it takes a lot of love and care to animate bosses and games in the same way as this. So it'll give me a reason to replay Cuphead. I had a really good time with it, and honestly, like, it seems like a perfect video game to do a video on if I do replay it. So I can play the main game, I can play the DLC, and it comes out summer of 2022. After multiple delays, the final chapter of popular indie run-and-gunner Cuphead finally got a release date. Everyone really honed their craft during the course of development. We're so proud of our talented team and the meticulous care they put into every element of this expansion. There were portions of boss fights in the DLC that contain more frames of animation than entire bosses in the original Cuphead. The delicious last course brings a new set of levels to Inkwell Isle. We have Cuphead and Mugman. Bang. New weapons and charms. Yeah, good for them. I'm excited to play more Cuphead. It's a really good game. You should check it out if you haven't already. You know, play it when the DLC comes out and have fun. Alright, Alan Wake 2 will be Remedy's first survival horror game. Remedy Entertainment is finally making a sequel to Alan Wake, revealed at the Game Awards. Alan Wake 2 will continue the writer's story in Remedy's first foray into survival horror. What does this mean? Remedy Games. Oh, games. Alan Wake 2, Alan Wake Remastered, Control, Quantum Break, Alan Wake. Yeah, what? I guess they don't consider Alan Wake the first one to be survival horror. All right, let me read the article. The first cinematic teaser trailer for Alan Wake 2 transitions from the woods to the city to small town. Alan Wake 2 is our big fish. We are diving deeper than ever into the ocean of darkness. Whereas the first Alan Wake had horror elements in it, it was an action game. I agree with that statement. Alan Wake 2 is Remedy's first survival horror game. Our take on the genre, our opportunity to connect the gameplay and story. Alan Wake 2 is coming to PS5, Windows, Xbox in 2023. So, I need to replay Alan Wake. What's up, Gamer Gal? I played the first Alan Wake around the time it came out. I played it on PC, and I loved it. I thought the combat was super interesting. The story was interesting. The world was interesting. So, I've been meaning to replay it. It has since had the remaster that came out this year, so I can play the remaster. And seeing the sequel to Alan Wake finally happen after its initial release. Does this have a year? Does this have a year? I want to say like 2013. 2010. So in 2010, Alan Wake came out, and here we are 2023 for the sequel. And not only that, its focus is survival horror rather than action. Just figured out our new router. That's good. I'm glad. That seemed like a stressful experience, just being a wandering eye on Twitter, seeing all your posts about it. I'm glad you're back in business. I'm good. We're doing the gaming news, and then I'm going to do a tier list for all the games that I played this year. Right now, we're on the Game Awards announcements, because that happened on Thursday. Did you watch the Game Awards? I think that's about it, too. At least that I want to talk about. Suicide Squad, Star Wars Eclipse, Wonder Woman, Alan Wake 2, Forspoken, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, I covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Did you have an article, Chuck? You said you were going to link me the playtest. I'm surprised people playtested Frontier already. I think I need to update my Wi-Fi card as well, but it's nothing to do with the problem we're having. Alright, well that's going to be the gaming news section. So, as always, if you have anything you want to add, the link to the Discord is here, and will be in the description once this goes to YouTube. Now the fun part. Not that the gaming news wasn't fun. Let's make it as large as possible. Yeah, we had a couple people over for the Game Awards, and because I have off Fridays, I didn't mind staying up and watching through it. I like watching the Game Awards. I think Jeff Keighley does a good job. I think he's also very transparent too, because he was thinking about how to address the like the sexual harassment in the workplace and just like harassment in general with like Blizzard, and of course it's unfortunately a more widespread problem, a more like systemic problem. So he made an original announcement saying like, I'm thinking about how to address this in the show. And so articles took that and said, you know, he's afraid to speak out, or he's got some reservation because of different companies' influence in his show. So he did a AMA on Reddit, and I saw screenshots. I didn't see the whole thing, but he was saying how he has complete control over the show, that the advisory boards are just ways to like to plan the event, and how he was talking to people about how to go about it because he know his show has influence and he wants to do the right thing and send a good message. So he was literally saying at face value, I'm thinking about how to talk about this. And he said he didn't want to call people out directly because unfortunately this is a more widespread problem that affects. So he didn't want to say like, this company is being the bad guy, this company is being the bad guy. Because it's something that not only is happening now, but unfortunately will happen in the future. So using his platform and his show to bring a voice to those people that are being affected by it and just being a voice in the community in general is a really good thing. So I'm glad that he ended up doing it in a way he was comfortable doing and being transparent and both talking online with people and talking with people in his, community for what he does. It's good stuff. So, all of the games that I played in the year of 2021 for the first time, this includes games that haven't been released in 2021. So it'll include, Final Fantasy VI, Doom. This is Doom 16? No, this is the original Doom. I played the original Doom for the first time this year. I made a list of both stuff that I streamed and that I didn't stream that I finished. And so I pulled from that list all the stuff I played for the first time. And I'm going to rank them less on how much because I like to critique games, and I try to be objective about it when I do it. I try to talk like game design, what things can do better, things like that. But I want to be more personal about it with just things that I liked and didn't like personally. So I think it'll be good to, rank all these games, and hopefully I'll do it in the future now that I've got lists of stuff that I've played. I don't know if I will go in a particular order. Astro's Playroom is S tier. We can go in order. The first one is Final Fantasy VI. Again, I talked about how I tried to play a lot of the classics, the well-known JRPGs of the past. And Final Fantasy VI was one of those games that I played for the first time that I knew had very critical acclaim. And I really enjoyed it. I will probably do this a lot this stream, but if there's a video for it, like detailing my critical thoughts, I'm gonna kind of like refer to it here. But I did a video on Final Fantasy VI, and long story short, I really liked it. I think it was because I also played Dragon Quest 1, 2, Final Fantasy 1, so we'll talk a little bit about those. But it was a good improvement to games that really shaped JRPGs. It was a good progression with, like, it had a much more unique story, much more dynamic characters throughout the game. So where would I rank it? It's definitely it still feels very vanilla compared to like other stuff that I'm really into. I think I would start by putting it, I'm gonna start by putting it at A tier. Stuff's gonna move and stuff's gonna be in order, but I can start there. I think it's A tier or high B tier. I think objectively it deserves to be A tier, but I think I may just prefer playing other games more than 6, just out of personal preference. So that's where we'll start. Devotion, if you haven't heard of it. Devotion is a horror game made by Red Candle, and it took a long time. It first released in 2019. They had to pull it off the store. This is a Chinese developer, and because of they had some political message in the game, and it had to be taken down because of that, unfortunately so, because of, some Chinese censorship, and, companies like Steam wanting to fold so that they can make money, and because, the consequence for Steam would probably be them not being able to sell games in China So they want to self-preserve, so they took Devotion off the store, and it was in limbo for a while. There wasn't an official way to play the game. But this year, I believe they launched Red Candle Games, or Red Candle, the website, where they're selling both of their games, Detention and Devotion. And I've been wanting to play this game since 2019 because it's a psychological horror. There isn't any survival horror elements, but it does a really good job of being psychological horror. And the main gist of it is you're playing from the perspective of a very successful family. Like I think the mom is a performer and the dad is a book writer, if I remember correctly. And they have such high expectations for their daughter to succeed. And it talks about the pressure of that. Things like declining in health for the daughter. I don't want to say like too much. But the horror of the game is the kind of expectations of those around you to succeed, and the pressure that comes with it, both societally and like interpersonally with family. So not only is it like a gorgeous looking game, but it tackles some very heavy subject matter, but it does a really good job doing it. It's very like, there's not a lot of jump scares. It's more so immersive, again, psychological horror with like really beautiful set pieces and really, I don't know, just the theming of this game is really good. I'm glad it finally got like a real release, and I definitely recommend it. Where would I rank it? I enjoyed it completely from beginning to end. I think it would be A tier. I wish there was a little more of the game length to play. Like, I left it feeling like I wanted a little bit more. I think it's going to be A tier. I think a lot of stuff's going to be A tier until I move it around. The original Doom. The original Doom held up surprisingly well. It's crazy how simple the movement, like how simple the game is mechanically. It's not even 3D, it's like pseudo 3D, and it does a really good job with just having really fast-paced action, like the movement speed in Doom. One of my favorite FPS games ever is Doom 2016, so getting to replay the original Doom in 2021, it was really surprising to me just how much translated back and forth between the original Doom and Doom 2016. I mean, personally, it looks it looks like the year it came out in. I don't know if I would go back and play it. I feel like it would be low A or B tier. That's where I'll put it. But it was really good. I'm glad I played it. I played Dragon Quest 1 and Dragon Quest 2 on my phone. I got a new phone this year, and I was thinking of, I hate playing mobile games, but I thought, like, how can I give myself a game to play on the phone that isn't going to be heavily influenced by microtransactions and daily login bonuses and things like that. And so, with my journey to play a lot of good classic JRPGs, I realized that a lot of them are on iOS. So I played Dragon Quest 1 and I played Dragon Quest 2. And the iOS remakes, which are the basis for the Switch versions as well, hold up really well. Like, they're simple, but of course they're simple because they're Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy 1 are the are the JRPG games that put JRPGs into the mainstream on NES when they originally came out. So I think Dragon Quest 1 and 2, specifically the remakes, they are what you expect, but they do a really good job being a balance of, I think, the simplicity of it and the accessibility of having it on mobile and Switch make it a really satisfying game to play through. So I would put Dragon Quest 2. Dragon Quest 2 is slightly better than Dragon Quest 1, but they're both good games. I would put them both in B tier. And let's go back to the channel. Final Fantasy 1 was something I also played for the first time, and that is something I also did a YouTube video on. So this is here if you want to watch my critical thoughts. I generally have the same thing to say. It was one of the first JRPGs to kind of popularize the genre, and I played the PSP version, so having the simplicity of the original release as a base and modernizing it on the PSP in this case made for a really standout game. I think that the combat of Dragon Quest 2 ends up doing a better job. I would put Final Fantasy between... Dragon Quest 1 only has one character, so the combat is simple. Final Fantasy 1 has multiple characters, and the combat's simple. But I think that Final Fantasy has a more interesting premise. They're all about the same. Like, I'm really picking I'm really splitting hairs here, but I think Final Fantasy was a bit more enjoyable to play through. And given the PSP version, it's been cleaned up. There's been added content. I think Dragon Quest II's multi-party combat was a bit more fun than Final Fantasy's, just because it actually mattered. Like, Final Fantasy 1, the melee attacks are very overpowered, so you rely on the same strategy throughout most of the game. Whereas the difficulty in Dragon Quest 1 and Dragon Quest 2 are actually they're not hard, but they get close to being considered hard. So the combat in Dragon Quest 2 was actually pretty good for as early of a release that it was. That's where I would rank those. Axiom Verge 2, I wanted to do a video on because the very first Axiom Verge is one of my favorite indie games released. And there was something different about 2. And literally the difference is that the focus is on melee rather than getting new weapons. I could go in depth about it, and maybe I will one day. But just personally, keeping it simple, it was more of the same. It was a really strong Metroidvania, a really focused Metroidvania that had really good enemy design. The way that you interacted with enemies was a lot... enemies had field of vision they would in a stealth game, but it wasn't a stealth game. So enemies were very aggro once they were in line of sight of you. So you relying primarily on melee weapons in Axiom Verge 2 made a really interesting change to the combat, where you were always thinking about your positioning and how to engage in fights. But I just have a very personal attachment to the first game and a personal attachment to having a more Metroid feeling with projectiles, where this game just visually and mechanically tried to do something different. My personal bias is the gameplay of the first, but they're both really strong Metroidvanias that deserve all of the love that they get. I think I would put it here, B tier. I want to put it... I don't think it deserves B or low A, is what I'm thinking. But one day I hope to replay both Axiom Verge games and really break down my thoughts, because there's a lot of good stuff in the sequel. I'm glad I played it. I wish I had a little bit more fun, but it wasn't a fault of the games, it was just a fault of my preference. Returnal. If you haven't seen my latest video already, Returnal is my game of the year. It also got Action Game of the Year, and I'm really, really happy that I played it, and really, really happy that it got the attention it deserves. So, I mean, This just released, so I'll leave most of my thoughts for you to watch here. But it's a roguelike that just did a phenomenal job of incorporating difficulty, roguelike, and storytelling, like all in one perfect package. The gameplay I want to come back to and play every now and again because it's such fun combat. Definitely game of the year for me. It was fantastic. That's S tier. Tales of Arise, I wanted to do a video on, but the best part about Tales of Arise is just how many quality of life changes are added to the game that should be in every game from the future, and it's sad that that's not the case. I enjoyed the earlier parts of it, but I don't really like action RPGs as much as I like the turn-based JRPGs. But Tales of Arise didn't... Again, this is where I gotta like talk about personal and like try to be objective. Objectively, this game is really good. The combat, what they worked with, the earlier level combat made me feel like I was playing a DMC game. The way that you were interacting with enemies, breaking their stance, and then comboing them, like launching them in the air and then sending them down. It was really cool combat. And of course you can hot swap between different characters that all do different things. The further I got into the combat, the more I didn't like it personally, just because of the more tedium it felt. But as far as like the merits of the game can't be understated. It was a really good game. I just don't really like the genre that much. I'm gonna be rude and put it here for now, and maybe I'll move it up to B tier. I think it's a B tier game, but my personal bias like wants me to put it at C tier. Cadence of Hyrule is another video, or another game that I did a video on, and Cadence of Hyrule was really cool. I played Crypt of the Necrodancer the year before in 2019, and I really enjoyed Crypt of the Necrodancer. It was tough, it was a roguelike, so it was different every time, and it had a really unique combination of genres, both with like dungeon crawling and rhythm gameplay. Like, I've always been a fan of rhythm games, so having a rhythm game in such a creative way, and in such a challenging way, like, Crypt of the Necrodancer wasn't long, but it was a very intense challenge that you just needed to perfect in order to finish the game. So taking that unique identity and fusing it with elements of Zelda, and also kind of opening up the gameplay to make it more accessible and more adventure-like rather than more roguelike, was a really good idea. I think this game did an amazing job combining the genres included in it, and while I prefer Crypt of the Necrodancer, I had a lot of fun with Cadence of Hyrule, and it's something that I'd probably recommend to people over Necrodancer, just because of how much more accessible it is. Cadence of Hyrule would be probably high B tier. I think I'd put it here. That's a good place for it. Dead Space 3. Dead Space 3 I played for the first time, and during the time of its release, it was criticized for not being action horror. So Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, I compare a lot to Resident Evil 4, because the Resident Evil games before 4 were very strictly survival horror, whereas Resident Evil 4 became this perfect balance of action and horror. And I think Dead Space 1 and 2 do the same thing, where they do have a perfect balance of those two things. When Dead Space 3 came out, it leaned much more heavily into the action than anything else. There wasn't a balance anymore. And because of that, because of microtransactions, this was like when microtransactions were starting to find their way into games that don't need them at all. So Dead Space 3 was really criticized at launch, and you know, in those respects, in the microtransaction respect, rightfully so. As far as it leaning more towards action, again, I'm not going to criticize it because it's not what I personally want. But I went and played through it for the first time. The other thing it was criticized for was being a co-op game. It was very co-op focused. So it's very important that you played it with a friend, and I had a friend that asked me to play through it. And playing it in 2021, I had a surprising amount of fun with it, where I would say if you can play it with a friend, Dead Space 3 is underrated. I thought it was really enjoyable and really fun, because one of the reasons I like Dead Space as a series is because the combat is very unique. They did a really good job where the combat is focused on delimbing enemies. So, I mean, in any first-person shooter ever, it's like you get the headshot does more damage, enemies die. But Dead Space is all about chopping off different limbs, and that being the main source of damage. And how every enemy has different limbs in different places. So it was really cool. I mean, so that was cool. That was awesome. And it fit the horror themes really well. So, I mean, playing Dead Space 3 with a friend, like, I had so much fun with it. Where would I put it? I feel like it's going to be a hot take, but like, I want to put it at the top of B tier. Did I have more fun? I mean, again, like the co-op aspect, playing it with a friend objectively, like, gives you a better time with the game. It would not be this high if I played it single player. But I'm glad I played it and I had fun with it. Lost Odyssey? Lost Odyssey is another game I have a video on. It interested me to play it because a lot of people after Final Fantasy X went to Field Plus and Mistwalker and started making games that are unique IPs, but influenced by games like Final Fantasy X. So Lost Odyssey was awesome. I had a lot of fun with it. I feel like I gotta start moving stuff on A tier. I think Lost Odyssey would be B tier. It's something that I probably wouldn't want to play again, but something that I had a great time playing for the first time. The characters were great, the story was kind of generic, the gameplay was fun, it had mechanics that needed to be fleshed out more, but I definitely think it's worth playing. If you were interested in playing it at all, I think it's worth it. Tetris Effect, S tier. Digimon no, I'm just kidding. Tetris Effect caught me by surprise. Like, I've always heard people talk about Tetris Effect in a really unique light, and it's been a really long time since I've played Tetris. So playing it in this, like, modern kind of... The way that Tetris Effect is presented is really, really, really unique. They take an existing game that's existed for years and years and years, and they put it in this, like, music festival type setting where every time you move and twist a block, every time you get a match, every time the speed improves, different parts of the game will make noises, you'll get visual audio feedback, and the song will progress the further you get into the levels. So, I don't know, just replaying Tetris again after all these years and playing it in such a unique format as Tetris Effect, it was a really fun experience for me, and I still come back and play Tetris Effect since I played it for the first time this year. So I've always been revisiting it. Digimon Cyber Sleuth, I was so underwhelmed by this game, I'll be honest. Of course, as a fan of JRPGs, I like experimenting and trying new ones. So it was nice I haven't played a Digimon game before, and I have some nostalgia for classic Digimon. And I've always heard how Digimon games themes, or Digimon in general, grows with its audience, which is something that Pokemon never did. So I appreciate that Digimon does do that. Like, the themes of Cyber Sleuth are a bit more adult. I'd say, like, it's rated T, so it's definitely targeted toward young adults. And I appreciated what was there, but I don't think it does anything special. I didn't like the characters, I didn't like the story. I didn't like... Some of the mechanics were close to being something unique, but they fell short. So, like, I would say it would be C or D tier. I bought Digimon Cyber Sleuth as a double pack. It comes with another game, which is like... It's a standalone game, but it reuses a lot of aspects of Digimon Cyber Sleuth. And I left Cyber Sleuth feeling like it was a chore, and I just decided, like, no, I didn't like this. I'm not going to play the other expansion standalone game. So I left that game with a negative taste. Deltarune Chapter 2. It's kind of hard to rank this one because it's a small part of something bigger. I enjoyed it a lot. I think I liked part 1 just as much as I liked Chapter 2. I don't have a whole lot to say because, again, it's a small part of something bigger and I can't wait to see more from it. I think it would be... I'd be generous and put it at low A tier. But both Deltarune Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 are free to play, and they're both fantastic. I think A tier is good. I'd even put it above Devotion. Yeah, that's fine. Hades is the only thing that's going to go above Returnal. Okay, there we go. Returnal was my game of the year for 2021. Hades came out last year, and I only got to play it this year. Otherwise, this would have been my... this would have been my game of the year, including games that didn't come out this year. I never really found myself enjoying roguelike games, and playing Hades really kind of opened my eyes to how good they can be, and it made me want to play more. Like, heck, I played Hades and I loved it so much that I went and played Returnal, like, almost back to back. So, Hades is a I don't say this a lot, but Hades is a perfect video game. It's perfect in how all of the mechanics dynamically balance the difficulty, how easily replayable it is, just how much dialogue and interaction and story and lore there is to the game. The replay value is insane. It's short and sweet with how many levels are in the game. The combat feels amazing. It's just perfect. I would love to do a video on it sometime. I just felt that the game itself was so big. There's just so much for you to do. Not things that you have to do, but there's just so many things you can do that I want to properly talk about those things as well. So that Hades, amazing, perfect. I loved it. Haven is going to be, funnily enough, Haven music's playing in the background. I think Haven is high B, low A tier. I'm going to have to rework A. A's not in order right now, but it's going to be... I think it's here, just out of personal preference. Haven is made by the Game Bakers, who also made a game called Fury, which is a boss rush game. And Fury is one of my favorite indie games. So I was really excited when they released Haven. And it's turn-based, but it's not static. It's an active time battle system. And I would rank it at high A just because of how unique the concept is for the game. I think it deserves so much acknowledgement and credit for making a game that is just as fun to play single player as it is to play with a friend or with a partner, because the themes of the game are about love, and it does this really good job following such real characters whose dialogue feels so real. And I think that you can get a lot out of the game with its themes, with its characters, and with its gameplay. Again, the gameplay can be enjoyed just as much single player as it is co-op, and like the different things change without changing whether or not you're doing that. So it's a really cool game. I definitely recommend checking it out. I did do a video of it. I'm gonna have to leave this up so I don't have to like keep opening it. But I did do a video on it, and I think it turned out really well. They had done an update since this video that added some quality of life and some additional concept art and different things into the game, making it, you know, the best it can be. I was thinking about whether or not to include this game, because nobody's ever heard of it, but I thought it would be a good chance to put a spotlight on somebody who I think is doing something really interesting. I played this small indie game made by one person, Yames, on itch.io called Water Womb World. It is a 15-minute game, but I really like Yames's art style. I think it's got this gorgeous, like, retro PC vibe to it. And on top of that, it's horror themed. So not that this does a good job showing it. I'll leave it to you. The game is free to download, but you can choose to spend money and support. Oh, I didn't. Okay. But you can choose to support games by donating money if you so choose to. I haven't played any of these other games, but again, I want to put a spotlight on somebody who's doing something really niche, but doing really unique things with horror and like the horror aesthetic. Because that's what it is you got a really good art style, a really good aesthetic in Yames' games. But yeah, it can be free. You can choose to pay and support. It is a 15-minute game. So, like, I didn't know where to rank it. And I can't put it, like... I mean, for what it is, I'll put it with these. It's... saying it's better than Tales of Arise or Digimon is kind of hard. We'll come back to it. Sunset Overdrive was really good. Where would I rank it? It had such fun. That game, like, made me want to complete it. And that's how I know it's a good game. The movement was so fun that I just spent hours just wandering the world of Sunset Overdrive and just wandering and collecting things. I feel like... it's got to be in B somewhere. I think I'll reorganize where I'm putting them once I'm done grading them. Recore is one of these games that very clearly disappointed me. I think I would have to put it at D tier. I did a video on Recore as well. It's right here. I thought Recore had a really interesting combination of genres. It was a third-person shooter. It was a collectathon. It was like, I don't know. What was the other thing? Anyway. It had RPG elements was the other thing. But I think it fumbled the execution in a lot of respects. It had a very short feeling story. It had a very barren world when it didn't need to. And a lot of the RPG elements hindered the game or hurt the action aspect of the game. And then there were a lot of like just awkward UI interactions with like swapping core bots with... the game would actively discourage you from collecting things when it like had some collectathon DNA in it. So it let me down. I'll put it above. It's very average. D is the average tier. It's very average. I know D is a low score, but you know, D is also average. Metroid Dread. I would have to put that at S tier, but below Returnal. I was just so surprised with how much I liked Returnal. Like, this is no diss to Dread. I played Dread my first playthrough. I 100%ed that playthrough, and then I immediately streamed it on hard. And I played it a second time all the way through on hard. And it is really well designed with just how it guides you around the map, how easy it is to 100% the game, how streamlined it is to do that. And while there are some shortcomings, I think, just in reused bosses, and I would have liked to have seen the Emmys be used in a different way, but how they are used is like still really good. Especially with, I really like how Samus always has a chance to get out of a situation, down to like the very last second when you're grabbed by an Emmy. And that timing to get out of the Emmy grab is different every time. So it's like, it's just very, I don't know. It's very unique how they do the, how they handled Emmys and how it was influenced by like Metroid's Fusion's SAX. Back 4 Blood. I am a really big fan of Left 4 Dead, and I can't help but compare this to Left 4 Dead for obvious reasons, which sucks because it's a good game in its own right, but it's designed the same way, but its mechanics are tweaked differently. And I think some things are good and some things are bad with that. So I prefer playing Left 4 Dead, but I think Back 4 Blood has the feeling of more longevity, and it's designed in a way to be more of a, not a live service, but like something they're gonna patch, add content and levels to. So I have a pretty B tier or C tier opinion of Back 4 Blood. I think I'll put it at C for now. And then I'll go back and fix that. Astro's Playroom, I got my PS5 in 2021, and Astro's Playroom was the free game that was installed on the PlayStation. And it was great. Of course, it's free to play, but it did a really good job showcasing the PS5 solid state. It had a good art style that could focus on really pushing the fidelity and FPS of the game. So while this one's also kind of tough to rank, it's definitely B. It'd be here. That's a good place to put it. SMT4 Apocalypse. I was talking with a friend just yesterday about SMT4 Apocalypse and SMT5, and I am cursed because I've played SMT4 and I think that is a perfect video game. It's a game with no flaws, and it's just going to be constantly in my mind, and I'm going to constantly compare it to Apocalypse and SMT5. So with that said, like, I wanted to do a video on Apocalypse. I did one in the past on SMT Strange Journey. But, I mean, like, the shorthand is Apocalypse it carries over SMT4's combat, which is the best combat I've ever seen, and does like 1 or 2 tweaks, making this game's combat the best I've ever seen. But I didn't enjoy the story as much as the other SMT games. But it was still a really good game. So it's like really hard for me to rank. I think because like I don't want to replay it because of the story. If I ever want to replay it, I would replay SMT4 because the story and the gameplay are the story of SMT4 is just leagues better than Apocalypse. And that kind of and it's not bad too. It's just that comparison thing is always in my mind. So I don't want to do it dirty. I think it deserves to be here, but I don't want to replay it is the thing. That's fine. Nick All-Stars Brawl, I was surprised by. I really like this game, and I really want to play more of it, and I really hope they continue to, like, update the game. To me, it feels like Super Smash Bros. Melee, but very much pick up and play Melee. Like, for me, if it's been a while since I've played Melee, I'm usually rusty in my execution. Whereas Nick All-Star Brawl has the same game feel as Melee, but the speed of it is even faster and the execution is even lower. So it's just a really easy game to warm up to, both in terms of like introducing yourself to playing it long term and just warming up as like sitting down and playing the game. It's a lot of fun and I'm really happy with it, and I think I'm gonna put it at A or low S tier. I think that's where I'll put it, is low A, because S tier is special. This game is good, but it has flaws. I'm putting it this high because of personal preference. Guilty Gear Strive is a really good fighting game, but I ended up not liking it as much as I thought I would, just in terms of game feel. And that's okay, because it's okay to be really picky with fighting games because there are like so many of them. I think the game itself is the best game of this year, and it deserves best fighting game of the year. I couldn't imagine it going anywhere else. But I personally didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. So I think it's got to go low A, high B. I think I'm going to do like high B. We'll put Waterwound World here. Nothing at E tier. So, S tier, this is 100%. This is in order 100%. A tier. How would I move things? It's tough because Nick All-Star Brawl is the only not... I mean, RPG, horror game. Let's do that. I like Taven a lot. B tier. Is Guilty Gear better than Lost Odyssey? I'd rather play Lost Odyssey. Guilty Gear or Apocalypse? I'd rather play Guilty Gear. Dead Space or Apocalypse? I'd rather play Apocalypse. I'd rather play Sunset Overdrive. I'd rather play Cadence. Axiom Verge, I'd rather play. Astros, and then Doom. And then Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy 1, Waterwound World are all B. Left for... Yeah, I'd rather play Back 4 Blood than Tales. I think that's good. D, these are not worthy of E tier. And these games are better than these games. These games have flaws. This game has flaws, but I like it more than Tales. And then, you know, that's good. Oh, that's it. There you have it. These are all the games I played for the first time in 2021. And ranked from S tier all the way down to D tier. So let me know what you think. And I would love to do this again for next year. So I'm going to keep a tab on everything that I've played and try to do this every year. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more like it, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. I also stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/RyanBeardy. Follow me on Twitter at RyanBeardy, and I have a Discord with the links below.